you to our little town?
A death. My father. What happened?
He was found dead in the forest. These last few years have been tough since your mother vanished. I'm glad you came, but people around here won't like it.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2020 horror thriller The Unlit, which is also known as The Witches of Blackwood. The film is directed by Kate Whitbread and it stars Cassandra McGrath, who you may recognise from such horror films as Wolf Creek, and she was in Dustwalker as well, which I think came out last year or the year before. Now this is an Australian horror film that focuses on a woman who is a police officer that has suffered a tragedy in the line of duty, witnessed a suicide, and is really struggling with her mental health, obviously. She learns that her father has passed, so she heads back to her hometown to essentially find out what has happened, and when she gets there, she realises there's just something a little bit off with her hometown. The women are acting very strangely, and there seems to be some kind of dark cloud over her hometown that she has to try and uncover that may be connected to her past and witchcraft. Right, what are my thoughts on The Unlit? This film, in a lot of ways, is absolutely fine. Good cast, good performances, certainly by Cassandra McGrath and a couple of others that appear in the film. No issues at all, really, with the performances. Essentially, though, the film's just a little bit dull, I think many people will find. It's, for a horror, it's more of a thriller. And then when it tries to be a horror, it kind of mishandles it a little bit. So, honestly, I didn't find it scary, this, which is a real shame. And I actually found it quite predictable as well. And definitely there are some will have issues with the pacing here of the film, because it plods along at a pretty slow and plunderous pace, which I think will be an issue for many, really. Now, for a witchcraft-themed horror film, also it's pretty light in that aspect as well. I mean, you get a few things here and there, you know, like eyes coated over and, you know, funny voices and the odd witchcrafty thing going off here and there. And it does get a little bit creepy now and again. And it certainly had a lot of potential, this, to be really creepy and play on your fears. You know, there's woods and forests involved, and, you know, mothers and daughters and witchcraft in the past and family connections, and, you know, all the ingredients are kind of there. It almost feels like they've kind of been put in the pot in the wrong order and stirred around, left instead of right. I don't know. It just feels like the story's kind of been mishandled a little bit. And it felt more like a TV drama to me, actually, than a horror film at times. It is quite low budget. I mean, it's worth saying. It's got this look about it that, whereas I watch a lot of low budget films for this channel, and some of them, you know, the second they start, you know they're made with zero budget. I mean, this isn't one of those type low budget films, but you could tell it's low budget, certainly, and it's got a really uninteresting look about it, in a sense of everything looks the same colour, and it's probably done on purpose, but it's not interesting visually, even though there is some nice cinematography going on in the film, which I did appreciate, if I'm being honest. It looks pretty enough at times, but it doesn't really deviate away from the colour palette that it presents to you, so visually it's not overly interesting. And the story's not overly interesting, and for a horror film it's not scary enough, so everything just feels a little bit too middle of the road here. I don't remember feeling anxious or fearful very often, certainly watching this film, for any of the characters. And as good as her performance was, Cassandra McGrath, I never felt connected to her character. I thought I was going to do, because I did feel some sympathy for her in regards to what happened while she was as a police officer, the tragedy that took place. But then something happens later in the film that kind of removes that feeling you had for her in a lot of ways. So you kind of feel conflicted, you know. Should I like this character? Should I not like this character? and it kind of, you know, plays around a little bit with you here. I mean, I don't mind that in a film. It kind of leaves you hanging a little bit as to what's going on and things like that. But it's almost like it's fairly obvious what's going on. You just need confirmation of it, and the film takes its time to give that. So I don't know. It just didn't really do it for me, this one, if I'm being particularly honest, which is, I think, is a little bit of a shame. It's certainly watchable. It's, I don't know, in regards to a witchcraft film, maybe I'm not a big fan of the genre of witchcraft horror films. I can't think of many that, you know, have really scared me or anything like that. So it's competent at what it does. It just doesn't deliver enough in regards to scares and thrills and fear and all that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, this might be one to avoid unless you really, you know, it's one of those that you might see cheaply to watch or rent or pick up on a supermarket shelf. It might be one of those that will interest you in that sense. From my perspective, though, I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 10. Didn't really do it for me. Didn't really inspire me or interest me massively. So yeah, the Unlit, maybe one to avoid, but certainly I've seen far worse this year. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you like this review. I will be back with plenty more content on the channel very soon.